Hey, how you guys doing? My name is Matt Balducci, and welcome to my book review portion of my channel. I'm super excited for you guys to check out this book, which is The Talent Code by Daniel Coyle. If you have not heard of this book, I'm telling you right now, go pick it up. So the quick synopsis on this book, okay? So what it essentially means is that you can develop any talent you want, but obviously it takes work, it takes time, it takes deep practice, perfect practice, and I'll explain that here. In a second, okay? So what ends up happening, guys, throughout this book is that I took 4 big takeaways from it. Okay, now there's so much good information in this book, and it's very interesting to understand that we're not exactly left with the skills that we have. You can develop pretty much any skill, but obviously there's some genetics as well that come into play. So my goal of this channel is relatively simple. I want more people to read books. So here's what we're going to talk about again, my 4 takeaways. So if you don't know who Daniel Coyle is, Google him. If you haven't heard of this book, Google it. It is unbelievable. Okay? So takeaway number 1. Perfect practice makes perfect. I'm sure some of you guys have heard practice makes perfect. That is false. It's perfect practice makes perfect. And again, what does that mean? Simply means that if you're putting in time to learn something, so let's say you want to learn how to play the violin like I do, and you're playing and you're kind of half-assing it and not really focusing, you're actually creating the wrong habit loops in your brain. So when it comes time to actually play, right, in football, if you run half-ass on the field and you get onto the during practice and you get into the game, guess what? Your habit loops are going to turn on. So I never really understood that when I was playing football. Now, again, I was a hard worker, so I would push, and run really hard, so it helped. But I just seen a lot of other guys that created these lazy habit loops in their head, and they wondered why in the game it would click and turn on, and I never understood it at that point. So perfect practice makes perfect. Number 2, chunking. If you haven't heard of chunking, what this essentially means is breaking things down into phases, right? When you're learning something new. So I'm going to use violin again here for an example. So Daniel Coyle talks a lot about this, which is that a lot of world-class athletes understand this. So soccer players, for instance, they basically break it down into small bite-sized pieces, and they get perfect at those small bite-sized pieces, learning how to play an instrument. You learn a specific portion of the music, and you get perfect at that. Perfect practice makes perfect. And then you do the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. And here's the cool part. It all comes together into this beautiful symphony. Just like in sports, right? You're like, damn, that guy is so smooth. Or that guy can kick the ball. So you're just like, wow. It's because they perfectly practice in golf specifically, right? You have to, there's so many different mechanical mistakes that you can make. Tiger Woods, and you're like, how the heck do these guys do it? Or these women do it? It's simple. They have chunked it. So how does that work in your life? How can you implement that into your life, right? So say you're trying to learn a new skill, which I recommend everyone do, right? And you're trying to develop a new talent code. So for me, I'm learning to be a bodybuilder. Now, how does that work is that I'm chunking how I eat, I'm chunking how I work out, I'm chunking all the health optimization things that I'm learning in terms of supplement use, etc. If I just went in there and I said, all right, teach me everything, it would be so overwhelming that you would basically blow yourself out. And it's still going to take time to become an expert, right? And that'll segue into my 3rd takeaway. Again, if you've heard another book, I think it was Barking Up the Wrong Tree by Eric Barker, it takes 4 hours a day of perfect practice for 6 years, and you will be an expert in whatever field. 2 hours a day for 12 years, right? Which is crazy that that's all it takes. Now, again, when I say all, it's hard to think, right? 12 years, 6 years, that's a lot of time. But if you can focus on perfectly practicing throughout that time period, you will become an expert in your field. You will become the best. You will become the best version of yourself in that specific thing. Now, again, there is genetics that kick in, right? So I'm not going to tell you you're going to be the next LeBron James if you go practice basketball for 4 hours a day. But you will be an expert basketball player for your skill set, which is really, really cool. So pick, and you'll figure out what you're really good at and so on along the way. Number 3 takeaway is myelin. If you don't know what myelin is, I want you to Google it. So it's a part of our brain, right, that is actually ever-changing. And what they discovered is when people practice, right, perfect practice makes perfect, and you chunk, your myelin actually creates and changes in your brain back to neuroplasticity. And what they found is that anyone that's world-class has developed the myelin in their brain to actually help them functionally learn. Okay, now I'm not going to go into too much more science on that. I probably butchered that. That's okay. But Google it and it'll explain it to you. But I'm going to bring up myelin right now. So if you watch this, you'll understand that it actually affects how your brain functions and how you can learn things. Okay. All right, guys. So I wanted to end with this. So if you do believe that, if you read this book, Talent Code, what you're going to discover is that anybody can develop a great talent. And you also will realize that everyone out there that has become successful, right? There is an unbelievable ability to sit down and focus for multiple years on becoming so good. Everyone sees the success at the end, but they don't see how many years it took them to get there. We all see that. We all know that, right? But unfortunately, we compare ourselves to their perfectionist side, and we don't realize that it took years and practice and hours and being smart and basically focusing. So again, if you're out there, I recommend you try to learn a new skill every single year or become an expert at something. And good luck. And again, subscribe below. I'll talk to you guys later.